everyone, welcome back to my channel, Callie's Kingdom, and happy 2024! I know I said I might try to post videos again before then, because I posted one over my Thanksgiving break, but winter quarter for me was insane. As some of you guys know, I go to Rose-Hulman, which is an engineering school, so we have a quarter system, which means we have 10 weeks for classes. Instead of like a semester, we have a quarter, so it is shortened, sped up, crazy. Fall quarter was a lot. Winter quarter is even more. So I really did not have time for any of that, but I'm excited now that I'm on winter break. We can film this video for you. I won't promise a lot of videos, but I will promise this one, and maybe if I have time, another one. Do not expect another video though until maybe the end of February, which is when my next break is, because I have a break between my winter quarter and my spring quarter for a week. So I'll probably give you guys a video then. And then another one during my spring break. So I'm not promising a lot this year, but hopefully I can give you that. But anyway, let's get into the video because it is a book haul! One of my favorite types of videos because I love getting new books. I love reading books too, which I've not had as much time for, so it's kind of crazy that I have like over 20 new books right now, but we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, I really have not had a lot of time to read in college, but I did end this year with 51 books, and maybe sometime I'll do a video ranking the 51 books from least favorite to favorite, or talking about some of my 5-star reads of 2023, or something like that. Maybe I'll even do a video about my TBR for 2024, but again, no promises. So let's get into this video. First, from my parents, which I'm so glad that they got me these. I'm so grateful. I got 6 new books. I gave my dad a list of books that I wanted, and he literally got everyone off there, which was so nice. I was not expecting that, but I have 6 new books from them, one which I already read and finished. So I guess we'll start with that. Defiant, the 4th book in the Skyward series, and I'll just give you a little book review now. I loved this book, although the epilogue, I feel like we didn't need the epilogue. I feel like it could have ended like right where the last chapter ended, and I felt like that would have been a great ending for Spensa and this series and everything like that, but the epilogue kind of took a little bit away, so I'd say 4.75 stars, like so close to 5. It was so good. I loved it. This is just a great series. If you are looking to get into sci-fi and you love fantasy, I feel like this has a little bit of fantasy sprinkling since it's by Brandon Sanderson, who writes fantasy, but it's a lot like sci-fi, which obviously it's a sci-fi series, but I was so glad to get this and finish my complete series of Skyward books. They're so beautiful. I love these covers. Like this one. This one's my favorite. I think it's just stunning. But Defiant is my second favorite probably. And it's Titanic. I mean, in covers wise. I think plot wise, the first book was my favorite. And then I feel like these two are kind of tied. And then Titanic was my least favorite, as many people say in this series, but it's still a good book. Anyway, we are going to move on from this, which these two, spoiler alert, actually no, I think I said this in a video before, 2 of my 5 stars from 2023, and I don't read a lot of sci-fi, so I'm going to have to find room for this book to fit right next to these on my shelf, but we'll worry about that another time. We'll worry about the impending doom of getting over 20 more books and having no room on my bookshelf. I'm in desperate need of another one. But anyway, moving on. We'll go to this little Christmassy book. Tessa Weston, The Best Christmas Ever. It's a shorter book. It's like, yeah, only around 200 pages, but I read 100 Days of Sunlight, which is the first book in this little like series duology. I think this is just like a sequel to it. So you could read the first book and be great, be done, like the story's all wrapped up. And then this is like another little extra book, and I loved the first book, 5 stars. I'm literally making my mom read it right now, so I felt like I had to get this book, but now that it's past Christmas, I think I'm going to save this until next Christmas. because I don't really want to read a Christmas book in January since we're past that now, you know? So, also I love like all the little things in the cover and how it matches kind of like the very happy like yellow sunny cover of 100 Days of Sunlight, which I would show you guys, but again, my mom is reading it right now, so I do not have it. The next book I have, we'll go through the ones that are like in series, is The Brothers Hawthorne, and this is kind of the fourth book in the Inheritance Games series. It's like the Inheritance Games, it's like a wrapped up trilogy, and then this was kind of like a book afterwards focusing on the brothers, which the Inheritance Games were like a 4.5-star series. I really like them. Not quite as much as like a 5-star, but like good series, would recommend. And now I'm excited to get to read this book, although I heard for some people it was a bit of a disappointment, so, and that it could have been like a short story, but this is like almost 500 pages, so we'll see, but I'm excited to get to read this. The Inheritance Games is a very quick, easy to read series for me, so when my mind is bogged down by physics and Calc 3 and statics and all my other classes, such as coding and circuits and all that, and I just need an escape, I feel like this will be a great series for that. Because sometimes things like sci-fi or high fantasy, like, I feel like my mind just needs a break, you know, when I'm doing all of those classes, so much homework, and I just need, like, a fun little, like, mystery, like, with a little bit of romance, all that little break, and I feel like this will give that to me, hopefully. We'll see. The next two I'm going to say are recommendations from my friends. Well, one's recommendation from two of my friends who are sisters, and the one like loves the series and then the other one read it and they both loved the series, so they told me to read it. So it's called The Stolen Kingdom by Bethany Atazadeh, and she is actually in, like, she has an author YouTube channel, so I mean, I've watched some of her videos, which Abby Emmons also has an author book, like an author YouTube channel. So I think it's kind of cool to like see the authors behind the books and then get to read their book and see like how it is. And this is like a series, so I think it is a 5-book series. So if I like this one, I'll have to buy the other 4, which she just, like, the author designed these covers. I think they're really pretty. I liked the other ones before too. She had like 3 different iterations, but this kind of shows that it's an Aladdin retelling, which I've never read an Aladdin retelling, so I'm pretty excited. But you can see all the other books on the back and how there's like a Little Mermaid retelling, a Beauty and the Beast retelling, no idea what that is retelling, but I'm excited to get to read this and get into some fun fantasy. And I know there's like princesses in it and a romance subplot and Ginny, which I think is like genies, but they're outlawed, so I don't know, but I'm excited because I trust my friend's recommendations. And this is another recommendation from my one friend who recommended this book. It's called For the Wolf, and it's like a dark fantasy where there's a girl, and the firstborn is for the throne, and the secondborn is like sacrificed to the wolf in the forest, and we're following her. And I think it's a Red Riding Hood retelling, which my friend, I guess she loves her fantasy retellings, which, I mean, me too. Lunar Chronicles is my favorite series, one of my favorite series, which we'll get to that later. And then finally from my parents, I got this, A Curious Beginning. It was recommended by a booktube channel. I think it's Katie. Katie is reading. Katie loves reading, something like that. But she has some of the same books that like I like, she likes. So it's a historical mystery. Whoa! Don't want to drop it. But I haven't really read that many historical mysteries, but I read this book that was like historical dark fantasy, which I really liked last year, so I wanted to branch out a little bit, and it sounded good from what she said, and the cover is stunning. Like, look at this, it's so pretty. So I have to admit I was drawn in by the cover. And this is also a series, so if I like the first book, then I'll have another series to read and become obsessed with, hopefully. So these are all the books that I got from, whoa, they're falling, that I got from my parents for Christmas. Thank you guys. I'm so excited to read, or I actually have read the one, but I'm excited to read the rest. And I don't know what I'm going to do because I have a little bookshelf in college, and I brought a lot of books there at the beginning of the year, and I brought back a couple that I've read, but I literally want to bring so many, and I won't have room for them all. So I think I'm gonna bring a lot and then keep them in this bin underneath my bed, and then put like the ones I'm most excited to read next on the shelf. Yeah, that's what I'll do. It'll be my whole little project once I get back. But yeah, next. Remember how I said we'd get back to the Lunar Chronicles? Okay, my friend Brindley, who's been on this channel before with me a couple times, she got me an amazing Christmas present, which thank you so much, Brindley. I didn't know she was even going to get me a present because our friend group's doing Secret Santa, so we were all just like getting a person and getting someone for them, and she was not my Secret Santa, but she still got me this, which is so sweet. Love you, Brindley. Anyway, so I love the Lunar Chronicles, and I've read the series like twice, but I borrowed them both from the library when I read them. And I wanted to do a reread. And I guess I could go to the library, but you know, I love owning my books, and I love the original covers of these. I used to not like the new covers, but now they've grown on me. Now I kind of like them. But the original covers always have like a special place in my heart because they're what I grew up reading. It's what I read these for the first time. And she found them for me. She got me the original covers. So I have Cinder and Scarlet and Cress and Winter. It was so sweet of her to get me these, and I'll definitely have to do a reread this year. This is another thing where it's like, you know, if I'm getting bogged down by work, like, and stress and all of that, like, a reread will help me with that because I won't have to get into a whole new world. But I will get to read a world that I love and get to return to characters that I love, and I haven't read this series in so long, like maybe 2 or 3 years, and I need to fix that because the series is so good. Anyway, those two were very exciting, but this is exciting like money-wise, I guess I should say. I went to, my library has a Friends of the Library bookstore. I actually just went this morning. This is what made me really want to sit down and film this video because I was planning on filming it with those books. But then I was like, I have to film this video right now because I went to the Friends of the Library bookstore, not expecting much. Like, maybe I'll find a good book or two. I found last year Skyward and Starsight from there for $2 each. So I was hoping for like, you know, something exciting like that. Like, oh my gosh. But I get there, and the people who volunteer there are really nice. So I said hi to them, and then I headed right to the young adult section. They're like, wow, heading right to the young adult section. Like, you know exactly where to go. And I was like, yep, I've been here before. It's great. And they were like, well, we actually got a shipment of young adults books in this morning. Not a shipment. They actually had someone drop off like a bunch of young adult books this morning. And they're like, do you want to look through them? And I was like, of course. So they brought it out, and they also started shelving some, so they had them in a different spot. These books, they were, like, I've heard of so many of them, and they were in perfect condition. I ended up seeing that, because these two have stamps in them that say, like, whose library it was, kind of like how I have my little, like, press thing, whatever you call it, embosser. Which I think it's cool that they have stamps in them, so, and then they also have my little embossed thing so they can see, like, whose libraries, who owned these before, you know? And see who has they passed down. Maybe more people will add their stamps. Well, I'm gonna keep these for a while, but you know, when I'm older and everything. But it was the same person who donated those. She donated a bunch, and I got 12 books. I know. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't, because I got 12 books for $29.67. Literally 12 books for under $30. Like, in this economy, you can't even get 3 books for $30 now. But I somehow got 12 in perfect condition. Some are hardcovers. What? Okay. I'm going to do one that I'm really excited for. So I've heard a lot about Divine Rivals last year, and I've been wanting to pick up a copy for myself, but, you know, like, I haven't really been buying a lot of books for myself. Especially if they're not, you know, discounted, because I'm a college student, and I didn't put this on my books that I wanted for Christmas list, even though it's been on, like, kind of part of my TBR, but it's been on my radar, you know, but not, like, that much on my radar that I got it. But I've been looking out for it, and the first book I pull out of that stack, actually, no, that was a different book. The second book I pull out of that stack is this one, Divine Rivals. this perfectly, like, nothing's wrong with it. Oh, it's so pretty. It's such a pretty cover. And like, look at the inside. It was $4. Like, what? Instead of being $19, it was $4. Just because someone used it before and has her little, like, library stamp in there. And that's when I was so excited. I started looking through all those books, stacking them up. I had to put some back because I had to control myself somewhat. Not totally, since I got 12, but somewhat. But anyway, then I found so many good ones, and I got so excited. The librarians that were there, they're like, look at how excited she is. She's practically bouncing up and down. I was so excited and so smiley. Okay, next we have Fable, which I have heard a lot about this book. Well, not a lot. I've heard some about this book. I've heard it's like a girl who's on an island, and there's like pirates, and I heard it was good. So like the inside's even pretty. And this one's also in like perfect condition, I think, from the same person. All of these were, but this one was $3. And then there's the second book in the series too. The only thing about this is there's a little bit of a sticky part here, but like for $3 for a hardcover. And this one's also really pretty. I think it's really cool that these books, wait for it, they go together like that. Like, that's really cool. And the inside is also really pretty with that. Although the bright blue is very, very bright. But anyway, I'm excited to have both of these. Not excited for the little sticker that's not a sticker there, but now I have another duology. Hopefully I like the first book because, well, if not, this was like, what, $6 for these two hardcover books, so. Next, what do we have next? Oh, next we have another series. They had a lot of these, the Shatter Me book, which I've been wanting to read this for a little while because I've heard a lot about it and I've just wanted to see what it's about. Which, I mean, I know it's about a girl who's like locked up because whoever she touches like dies or whatever. So they actually had like the whole series of this, like maybe like 7 or 8 of the books, and I had to control myself because I'm like, what if I really don't like the series that much? So I decided to get the first 3. So we have Shatter Me, Ignite Me. This is the third one. Shatter Me, Unravel Me, and then Ignite Me. So I got the first 3 books. This one was $1, this one was $2, and this one was $2. And this was actually on my 2024 TBR that I wanted to read, even though I didn't have like a physical copy of that book. But I'm excited. Like $5 for these 3 books. And somehow, if those other books in the series still end up being there by the time I come back, well, I guess I wouldn't have read all these in February, but maybe over the summer. If they're still there by over the summer and I'm enjoying the series, if I've started it so far, then I can always go and pick up some of the other books, if they're still there. Caveat, you know? Because other people go to that Friends of the Library bookstore. It's not just me. But, I mean, I know that I'm less likely to pick up books that are in the middle of series, unless I've really heard about that series and I've heard that it's good. Like, I think I picked up the 3rd or 4th book in the Maze Runner series there before, because it was $1. Even though I didn't have the other books and I haven't read the other books. But so if someone does that, then. Which, speaking of that, I'm pretty sure I did pick up a book in the middle of a series. But this is by an author that I've really enjoyed her other books. I think this is the 2nd book. I'll have to look it up. But it's called Flamecaster by Cinda Williams Chima. And I read her book, Demon Slayer? No. The Demon King. I was like, that doesn't sound right. That sounds like something else. But The Demon King. And I really liked these. I read the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and I think it's a 4.5-star series for me. I've not read the 4th one because I wanted to. But again, this is like a high fantasy young adult, so it takes a lot of like brain power to get into. But, anyway, ignore me. Okay. We're just gonna set that down here. I really don't want to like stop this video because I don't feel like editing clips together. Yeah, so that's why this is all a little bit of chaos. But anyway, this is in another series by her. Yeah, it says the Shattered Realms novel, so I think this is the second book, which, I mean, seeing as I like the first book, and this was how much? Like $2? Yeah, $2. I decided to pick it up anyway because I like the author's other series. So, me being like, why would someone pick up the middle book in a series? And then saying how I did that twice. But anyway, here's another book called Spin the Dawn, which I heard of and I saw it some places before. I know it's like a girl. I think that she goes to... I actually don't really remember. She's a seamstress. I know that. But then there's some conflict or something. But this was $2? Yeah, $2. And perfect condition again, so I decided to pick it up. This I hadn't really heard of before, but again, it was $2. It was by the same person. I trust the rest of her tastes because I've heard of a lot of those books. So they had the first and second book in this series, but since I hadn't really heard of it, I just decided to get the first book. It's called All the Stars and Teeth, which is interesting, All the Stars and like teeth, but I think that it is like there's pirates, something like that. Yeah, she's a princess of an island kingdom. So it's a fantasy, I know that, but yeah, it sounded really good. And I mean, that's an interesting title. All the stars and whatever sounds like a very typical title for a fantasy, you know. But All the Stars and Teeth, that I was like, what? And then there's like, it looks very like sea, like piratey. So I'm excited to check that book out and see what it is. The next one is A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which I have another book by Brigid Kemmerer, called Defy the Night, which I've been wanting to read for a while, but I have not gotten to it. I literally brought it back during my Thanksgiving break and my winter break, but after I finished this book I was reading during this winter break, oh, it's not up there, I had to read Defiant, the Fourth Skyward book, and I think I wasn't finished the book that I brought during my Thanksgiving break. No, I brought 3 books during Thanksgiving break, because I finished one, and then I was in the middle of reading another, but I didn't finish that to read this, so I literally keep bringing it, keep being like, I want to read this, it sounds good, but not getting to it. But the same person who recommended me For the Wolf and what's the other one's name? The Stolen Kingdom. She also read this and said it was pretty good. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly. Or I know she got this book at least and said it looks good. But I think it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. There's her retellings, but I mean, who am I to talk? Lunar Chronicles. It's fairy tale retellings, and I love that. But it looks pretty, and I think it's, yeah, a prince is cursed to repeat his 18th year. I think he's probably the beast, but then this girl has to break the curse and save the kingdom. So add that to the stack. We're getting to the end. We're getting there. And this is called The Hazelwood, which I saw this book in the library before, and I almost picked it up then, but I didn't. But it sounds pretty good, which I say that as I forget what it was about. Let me see. Something about, yeah, her grandmother dies on her estate, the Hazelwood. She's a book of dark fairy tales, and I think her and her mother go there, and it's just like her adventures there, which sounds really cool. The cover's really pretty. Literally when I was getting checked out, like they were checking out my books, the person was like, that is such a beautiful cover, and I was like, I know, because it's so pretty, like the dark, and then like the black, and then all the like kind of neon green and blue. Neon-y's the name of a singer I like. Okay, this is such a chaotic video. Anyway, finally, there's a book called Only a Monster, which I feel like I've seen before, but it was $4, and this girl discovers her family's like really a family of monsters, and the guy she likes is really like a monster hunter or something. It sounded pretty good. Yeah, and she's in London. But it was $4, and yeah, so I literally got all of these books for under $30. 12 books for $30. You can't beat that. So, I hope that you enjoyed seeing my video, and if you live around me, which I'm not going to tell you where, but if you watch this video and you know who I am and you live around me, go to the Friends of the Library bookstore, because they still have some books from this girl. Like, I had to restrain myself how to not take out all of them. So, if you want some good books for cheap, go there. And if you're not, try to see if your library has a Friends of the Library bookstore, because as a college student, I can't afford to pay for a bunch of books full price, but I can afford to pay for 12 books for $30. I'm still on like such like a high from like finding all those books, you know? It just makes me so happy. But anyway, I'm so glad I got those. I'm also so grateful for the books that I got for Christmas. I'm so excited to read all those. I am so excited for my reread of Lunar Chronicles. You already know. But I'm so grateful. Like, I love books, and now I'm surrounded by so many great books, and the only problem is I don't have enough space on my bookshelf, which I'd say is a good problem to have if I'm going to have one. But anyway, stay tuned for more videos sometime. Don't know when, but sometime. And thanks for watching. Bye!